Sometimes, a single voice can cut through the noise, a voice that carries not just words, but the weight of lived experience, the urgency of a cause, and the courage to challenge the status quo. In a world overflowing with opinions and distractions, it's rare for someone to command the room so completely that every eye is fixed, every ear is tuned, and every heart is moved. And yet, on this day, that's exactly what happened. The energy in the auditorium shifted, as if the air itself was charged with anticipation. People leaned forward in their seats, drawn in by the promise of something real, something that mattered. It was as if for a moment, the world outside faded away, and all that existed was the message about to be delivered. On December 3, 2025, at the prestigious New York Times DealBook Summit, Halle Berry took the stage, not as an actress, but as a woman on a mission. The room was filled with business leaders, journalists, and changemakers, all expecting to hear from a Hollywood legend. But what unfolded was far more powerful than a celebrity appearance. The audience expected glamour, perhaps a few anecdotes from the red carpet. Instead, they witnessed a transformation. Halle Berry, known for her poise and elegance, revealed herself as a fierce advocate, unafraid to speak uncomfortable truths, unafraid to challenge those in power. At 59, Halle radiated confidence and wisdom, her presence commanding respect. She spoke with unwavering conviction about a bill in her home state of California, a menopause care bill that had been vetoed not once but twice by Governor Gavin Newsom. This was not just a policy issue, it was a deeply personal one, affecting millions of women who have long been ignored by the healthcare system. The atmosphere in the room changed as she addressed the governor directly, her words sharp and clear. The way he has overlooked women, half the population, by devaluing us, he probably should not be our next president either. It was a bold statement, one that echoed through the hall and sent ripples far beyond its walls. You could feel the collective intake of breath, the silent acknowledgement that something important had just been said. This was not the safe, polished speech of a celebrity protecting her image. This was a call to action, a demand for accountability, and a refusal to let women's health be sidelined any longer. This wasn't just a celebrity speech, it was a declaration for women who have felt overlooked for too long. Halle's words resonated with every woman who has ever felt invisible, every person who has watched important issues dismissed or minimized. She connected a single political act to a much broader cultural issue, shining a light on the ways women's health is often treated as an afterthought. Her message was clear: women deserve better, and it's time for society to listen. Halle stood as a warrior for every woman navigating midlife, for every mother, daughter, and sister who has struggled to have her health and value recognized. She spoke not just for herself, but for an entire generation demanding change. This was more than politics, it was personal. It was a plea for women's voices to be heard, for their experiences to be validated, and for their needs to be met with compassion and urgency. Halle used her platform to demand that the conversation around women's health become a roar, not a whisper. She challenged everyone in the room, and everyone watching, to amplify the message, to refuse to let it be silenced or ignored. She reminded us all that when we see injustice, we must stand up and speak our truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. In that moment, the world was listening, and perhaps, just perhaps, ready to change. What was this bill that sparked such passion? The Menopause Care Equity Act, AB 432, introduced by Assemblywoman Rebecca Bauer-Kahan. Its goal: make menopause care accessible and affordable for all women. The bill mandated insurance coverage for menopause-related health care, treatments, consultations, therapies, lifting a financial burden from millions. It also required ongoing physician training on menopause, addressing the lack of education that leaves women dismissed and untreated. AB 432 had strong bipartisan support, signaling a long-overdue shift in women's health care. Its passage through the legislature was a victory, until its fate took a disappointing turn. After passing the legislature, AB 432 landed on Governor Newsom's desk in October 2025. For the second year in a row, he vetoed it, citing concerns about rising healthcare costs and insurance premiums. Supporters, including Halle Berry, saw this as prioritizing dollars over women's well-being. The veto echoed a painful history of women's health being sidelined as too expensive. Newsom's office promised to work on a revised bill, but for many, it felt like a delay women couldn't afford. The need for menopause care is urgent. Another year means more women suffering in silence. The the setback felt deeply personal. For Halle Berry, the veto wasn't just policy. It was a message that women's health isn't a priority. She argued it told women, especially in midlife, that their comfort and quality of life don't matter. The veto reinforced the idea that women, once past a certain age, are less valuable. Halle connected this to a culture that dismisses aging women, seeing the veto as a political act of ageism. Prioritizing cost over care felt like a cold calculation, devaluing women's contributions. Her outrage came from empathy, and a belief that health is a right, not a luxury. This fight is about demanding dignity and care for women at every stage of life. Halle Berry's speech exposed a painful truth. As women age, they often feel invisible, overlooked not just by strangers, but sometimes even by those closest to them. This sense of invisibility can creep in quietly, woven into daily interactions, media images, and the expectations society places on women as they grow older. She described the relentless pressure to stay forever young, to erase every wrinkle and hide every gray hair, and how midlife can feel like being handed an invisibility cloak, one that's hard to take off, no matter how vibrant or accomplished you are. Even as a star, Halle said, "At 59, I am devalued in this country." Her words echo the experiences of countless women who feel their worth diminish in the eyes of others as they age, regardless of their achievements or wisdom. This invisibility shows up everywhere, from the workplace, where experience is often undervalued, to Hollywood, where roles for older women are scarce, to social media, where youth is celebrated and aging is hidden away. The neglect of menopause care is rooted in ageism and sexism. Society sidelines women's health after their reproductive years, leaving many to navigate this transition alone, without the support or information they deserve. But Halle's message is clear: our value doesn't fade with age. In fact, it deepens. Every year brings new wisdom, resilience, and strength that should be celebrated, not hidden. Midlife is not an ending, but a new powerful chapter, full of opportunities to grow, reinvent, and thrive in ways we may never have imagined before. By speaking out, Halle is helping all women shed that invisibility cloak, encouraging us to step forward, claim our space, and demand to be seen and heard. We must embrace our age, our power, and our right to be seen, valued, and cared for, because every stage of life is worthy of respect and celebration. Halle's conviction comes from her childhood. She shared a story of being bullied and beaten as a young girl, feeling powerless. That moment taught her never to be a victim again. It fueled her determination to stand up for herself and others, to fight injustice wherever she saw it. On stage, she spoke not just as a celebrity, but as someone who learned to stand her ground early. For Halle, women being dismissed is another form of bullying. Her response: "Get loud, be bold, and challenge the system." Her story reminds us, our struggles can become our strength. We can channel pain into purpose and fight for a more equitable world. Halle Berry's speech was a call to action. She urged women to be bold, loud, and to refuse to be diminished in midlife. "The days of outliving men but doing it in poor health are over," she declared. "This fight is about claiming the right to live long, healthy, vibrant lives." Halle's message: don't wait for politicians. Be your own advocate. Talk openly about menopause, demand to be heard by doctors, and hold leaders accountable. Every woman at any age has a stake in this fight. The work we do now will shape a better future for generations. "We simply deserve better," Halle said. "We're not asking for favors. We're demanding what's rightfully ours: health, dignity, and visibility." After the veto and Halle's public stand, what's next? The fight for AB 432 isn't over. Advocates are more energized than ever. Newsom's office is open to negotiation, but pressure must stay high to avoid a watered-down bill. With Newsom's term ending in 2026 and presidential ambitions looming, the political stakes are high. Failing to act could alienate a powerful voting bloc of women. Meanwhile, Halle continues her advocacy, founding her own menopause care company and sparking national conversation. More women are demanding better care, and companies are starting to listen. The movement for menopause equity is gaining unstoppable momentum. This story is bigger than one actress, one governor, or one bill. It's a movement that transcends individuals and politics, reaching into the very heart of our communities and our daily lives. It's about the countless women who have quietly endured, who have supported each other in living rooms, workplaces, and doctors' offices, and who are now stepping forward to demand change. It's about the unstoppable power of women standing together and speaking their truth. When we unite, our voices echo far beyond what any one of us could achieve alone. We create a chorus that cannot be ignored, a force that can shift culture and policy alike. Halle's moment was a spark. The fire is fueled by millions who have felt ignored and devalued. Each story shared, each voice raised, adds fuel to this movement, making it impossible to turn away from the truth of our experiences. The fight for menopause care is about demanding to be seen as whole, valuable, and worthy of care at every age. It's about challenging a system that too often overlooks women's health, and insisting that our needs are not optional, they are essential. It's about dismantling ageism and reclaiming midlife as a time of strength and possibility. We are rewriting the narrative, showing the world that this chapter of life is vibrant, powerful, and full of potential. Let this moment inspire you. Your voice matters. Whether you speak out in public or support someone quietly, you are part of this unstoppable wave of change. Speak up, call out injustice, and support each other. Every act of courage, every gesture of solidarity, brings us closer to a world where all women are respected and heard. Our collective strength can achieve anything. Together we are unstoppable, and together we can create lasting change for generations to come. Let's be bold, be loud, and refuse to be diminished. Let's keep pushing forward, knowing that our unity is our greatest power. A new day is dawning, one where every woman is seen, heard, and valued. The future is bright, and it belongs to all of us.